Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. For today's video I wanted to do an updated how I annotate my books and showing you some of my annotated books. I did this video in I think it was 2021. It was shortly after I started my channel, so that's exciting. I did that a long time ago now and I still annotate my books. I still love annotating my books. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I just have a different process now and different tools and a different way that I like to annotate my books. So we're going to talk about the tools that I use, the books that I've annotated previously. So most of them I have mentioned in that previous video. So they are books that I annotated a long time ago. And then also more recent books that I have annotated and showing you how they kind of differ. We're just going to get straight into it. So firstly, my annotation tools. So this is my annotation pencil case, my newest one. My parents actually got me this from a Waterstones or else a local bookshop in Edinburgh when they went on a little trip to Edinburgh recently. It says book lover, and it's the definition of a book lover. So a person devoted to reading, one who would rather stay inside and read than go outside and play, someone who gets lost in a story and loves to dream with open eyes. Beware, never disturb a book lover when he/she is reading. Results can be fatal. What a slay. I love her. There is also just extra stationery bits in this. If you have seen my last annotation video, I used to kind of bring around an annotation pencil case with me while I annotated, whereas now, as I'll talk about later, unless I'm annotating a book that I am absolutely adoring, that I'm most likely rereading or that I know I'll adore, most of the time I just have a pen and sticky tabs. That's pretty much it. I don't bring around a pencil case with me anymore. So firstly, most of the stuff in here I don't use, like I said, but I'm just going to mention the ones that I do use. So first off, we have Post-its. They are severely depleted, as you can see, but I use these for when I'm annotating a book and when I know I'm annotating a book and I know that I'll have a few different colors. So I use this for my annotation key. So at the start of when I'm reading a book and I know I'm annotating it, or when I'm kind of already annotating it a little bit, and just so I don't get confused, I pick a color, usually there's more on this, that corresponds with the front cover of the book, or if I don't have one that color, one that is close enough, and I just put it right before chapter 1 most of the time and just write annotation key on the top and then write down my colors along with what they mean, which differs from book to book, which I also will talk about later. In my last video, I did have annotation keys, but most of the time they were the exact same kind of key for each book that I read, just because that was the way I was annotating at that time. So for example, we have The Poppy War here. This is a book that I annotated very recently. I have my annotation key here and I think it's very useful because I have a tendency to forget what color that corresponds with what thing, because more recently, like I will mention a little bit later, I have been doing my tab colors differently, so not every single book is the same. So I have a tendency to forget what color goes with what thing, so I am constantly flipping to the first page. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different annotation tab colors with their corresponding meanings. So I have now explained the tools that I use. So what I wanted to do now was show you some of the older books that I've annotated. So I would have mentioned them in my last video about annotation, and then also show you some of the newer ones that I have done. So I have 2 books here to show you that are 2 of my favorite book series in the world. If you've watched my channel, you will know, but I have heavily annotated these. Just take a minute and look at those because it's kind of insane. As you can tell, it's the Foxhole Court and the Raven Boys. So I'm going to show you the 2 of those. You can tell as well they're quite colourful. So I'm going to show you the annotation keys for those as well. We'll start off with the Raven Boys. This is my annotation key for the Raven Boys. I annotated the Raven Boys when I was first kind of annotating books. I actually have 8. So let's go through them again. So we have pink, general favorite moments or scenes. Blue, sad boy hours. Green, funny moments or scenes. Purple is pinch moments, so it's the square purple, like earlier I was mentioning. There's triangular ones and square ones. Obviously, at that time, I had purple ones that were square and purple ones that were triangular, which I do not have now. And then purple, the triangular ones, organzy and blue moments. Yellow were foreshadowing or dots I've connected upon my rereads, because we know Maggie Stiefvater loves to leave in some eggs. Orange are things I relate to, and then black writing or underlines are things I annotated in my first read on my iPad or just stunning writing, or else whenever I reread it, there were just other things that I added in most of the time. I also have another one that I didn't mention on that key. So if you can see these blue tabs sticking out at the top, they are every time Latin is spoken. So this key is kind of the exact same for the entire series of the Raven Boys that I've annotated. So as you can see, like, sorry, that's ridiculous. Like, why do I have that many? It's a lot. In this one in particular, and when I first started annotating, I color coordinated my pens, and I also color coordinated highlighters as well to my tab colors. So for example, if I had a favorite moment that was in pink, I would underline it in pink and add the pink tab, or if it was really, really important and I really loved it, I would highlight it along with underlining it in pink, highlighter and pink pen, and have a pink tab. I don't do that kind of thing anymore, mostly because it's too much effort for me and I'm not bothered. So orange are things I relate to. So as you can see, I highlighted something in orange there. And then we also have purple. This is pinch. So that's highlighted and underlined in purple. And then we have, I don't know if you can see, but some underlining in blue, which is sad boy hours, and then also writing in blue. That's kind of an example of how I annotated the Raven Boys. The All for the Game series, these are ridiculously annotated, like very heavily annotated. They're my most annotated books other than the Raven Cycle. So these are kind of similar. So I have a key for this. Do I? We shall see. We're learning together. Oh, I do. This is my key here. 6 different tab colors for this one. So these would be quite similar to the Raven Boys, because at the very start I was using colors like blue for sad moments all the time, green for funny moments all the time, yellow for either foreshadowing, quotes, or things that made me angry practically all the time, and then the pink most of the time was for romance or characters I love, and then sometimes when I started getting the purple tabs, they would also be mixed in with those that I loved. We have blue for sad moments, green for funny moments, orange were for relatable moments and some foreshadowing moments. Light pink was for the Fox fam, so the Fox family, essentially the found family in these books if you haven't read them. The dark pink was for the main couple, so Andrea is their ship name, Andrew and Neil. And then yellow was for problematic things or things that made me angry. I haven't written it in the key, but you can see these tabs sticking up on the top. In these books, French and German are spoken along with Japanese, but they're written in English. It just says said in German, said in French. So I wanted to mark every time those languages were spoken. Yellow is German and the purple is French. I actually learned German in school. I'm not the best at it, but I learned German in school, so I wanted to translate any German that was said in this into German from the English. So that's what I did. And then don't worry, I I looked up a lot of it because I'm not fluent in German. And then French, I don't have a lick of French, so I looked up the translations for French. But I just wanted to, have it because they're my favorite books. It's probably overboard. I am sure it's a bit excessive and insane to do that, but I wanted to do it. If you speak German or French and you see these translations and see that they are wrong, please ignore them. Okay, we're not going to talk about it. It's the German up at the top. Don't look at it too closely because the translations are probably incorrect. So this was a huge conversation in German, a very long conversation. So what I did was I wrote them on post-it notes. that's enough about that. That's the way I used to annotate, and I still will if it's something that I love. So if I was to annotate these again, I probably would do it in the same way. Or if I had another series that I loved, I probably would annotate it similarly. And I'll show you actually one of the books that I'm about to show you that I've annotated recently. I do love, and it's in kind of a series, so I would annotate it a very similar way, but I don't get as unhinged and insane with the amount of detail and the amount of annotations I have done in the Raven Cycle and the Foxhole Court. I have calmed it down a little bit. I am mature now. Two of the books in the Secret Shanghai series of world, I think is what you would call it, by Chloe Gong. So we have Our Violent Ends, which is the second book in the These Violent Delights duology, and then Foul Lady Fortune, which is the first book in the Foul Lady Fortune duology. I have a lot of tabs here. They're quite similar to the other books, like I mentioned, but also they're a little less unhinged. I was still using the same pen color as the tab that I was doing, if that makes sense. So I was correlating the pen color with the tab color at this point in time still. I don't really do that anymore, like I've mentioned. But again, blue was sad, green was funny, black writing was kind of extra thoughts that didn't fit in a specific tab. Pink were moments I love. Again, are we surprised? Purple then was for two specific characters, Roma and Juliet, the main characters. And then pink, which was, I think I mentioned pink earlier. I was obviously using the square pink and the, like, so the dark pink and the lighter pink. And so they differentiated between one romantic coupling and another romantic coupling. Foul Lady Fortune, because I read it more recently, now we're getting into kind of the way I annotate now. So the two of these books are books in series that I'm obsessed with, and they have quite a similar annotation style as the Raven Boys and the All for the Game series or the Foxhole Court. So they're similar to my older kind of annotations, but they also have kind of extra bits. And then I'm going to show you one more book that I mentioned earlier, The Poppy War, which is how I annotate most of the time now. If I really like a book and I really like the story, and it's only this way that I'm about to explain now, if it's like books that I'm absolutely obsessed with or books that I reread most of the time. We have Foul Lady Fortune. You can tell there's not as much tabs in this one, and the colours is a little less. So this one's actually kind of different because I annotated it when I was rereading it, and one of the annotation tabs were for my writing because this book did inspire me to write the book I'm working on. The orange tab was for moments that were important for my writing. The pink was a coupling, Orion and Rosalind. The green was funny. Again, we're sensing a theme. The purple was for the other couple, Celia and Oliver. And then the quotes were yellow. Kind of similar when it comes to books that I absolutely love. And there's characters that I know are in a relationship or going to get into a relationship. I'll have a specific tab color for them. And then my other things like sad, funny quotes will all be quite similar, and I'll have those as a tab color. This one then is Chain of Iron. That's quite similar as well. Two annotation little post-its. This one on the bottom, if you want to see, I read it in a reading vlog at one point, but this one is just all of the family tree, because if you've read these books you'll know there's a lot and it's kind of confusing. So I mixed up the colors a little bit, mixed and matched them a little bit. But we have dark blue is for a specific group of people. It's kind of like found family again. So the darker pink was for gay slay. The light pink was for quotes. The yellow was for the Infernal Devices characters that are mentioned in this book. If you've read these books, you will know it's like an interconnected kind of series. Orange was for a romantic coupling, James and Cordelia. Green was for funny, again. Light blue was for sad moments, again. And then purple was for moments I love. So most of the time, like I mentioned already a few times, we're going to have similar themes in the annotation key. The colors will just change a little bit. Nowadays, when I'm annotating something, I'll still have the basics of sad, funny quotes, romantic pairings, things I love. Those most of the time are the things that I'm annotating. and I will just mix around the colors depending on what matches the cover. So I'll look at my annotation tabs and see how many I've left first off, because it's a problem when you constantly use the same color for the same thing and then you're running out of pink tabs because you just love everything that you annotate. It's a problem. So I tried to fix that by looking at the ones I had left, most of the ones I had left, and trying to match them to the cover. For the Poppy War, if you can tell there's a lot of orange. I had a lot of orange left, and I knew there was orange in the cover and red, so I wanted to match that. I also try to use a little less tabs as well, because I know most of the time I just want to tab things that are like things I love, quotes, and then specific characters. I know some people do it for like world building and stuff. I don't, because I just don't do that. But I will tab foreshadowing things when I'm rereading, because I do like knowing those and picking those out. Pretty similar to most of them. So I have quotes, which are yellow, pain, which is purple, relatable, which is light blue, and then romance, which is orange, or I love this in orange. Green is WTF moments, and then dark blue is Rin slaying. Rin is the main character. So that's kind of the vibe of the way they are now. I hope I've covered everything in this video. I feel like I repeat myself so many times, and also there was a big gap in between me filming this part of the video and the part at the very start. So I could have different lighting, I could have a different angle because my mic went dead. So just bear with me. I love annotating my books. I think it's so fun. I love having annotations to look back on, especially when I change how I annotate my books. So looking back on, say, the Raven Boys and the All for the Game series and seeing my thoughts real time that I had when I read those books, I just love looking back at them because it's so interesting. And my comments and little annotations are always so unhinged. And also, by the way, if you couldn't tell from this, I don't annotate like intellectually. I annotate as in, oh my god, I'm crying. Oh my god, this is awful. Oh my god, I love these characters. Oh my god, they are my children. Oh my god, that's so slay. Oh my god, that's so hot. That's how I annotate. Just so you know, this is not full of a lot of intellectual thoughts. It's me being chaotic and unhinged and just screaming about fictional characters like I always do, but just writing it down. Just to clarify in case you were misunderstood. I hope you enjoyed, and if you annotate your books, let me know in the comments. Tell me how you annotate your books, if you annotate them in a similar way. Tell me what books you prefer to annotate. Do you prefer to annotate specific books? When do you decide when to annotate? Let me know all the goss. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what other videos you want to see from me. And yeah, like and subscribe this video if you want to see more of my content, if you like my content. If you want to see more of my content on other social media platforms, look in my description of this video. I have my Goodreads linked, my TikTok linked, my StoryGraph linked. That's where I'm active most of the time, especially TikTok. If you want to watch more content from me, have a look there. Thank you so much for watching, like I said, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.